Hi, folks. Welcome back to another episode of WorkYogi Diaries. In this show, I have conversations with people who are masters of their craft or are on a journey to be masters. Hopefully, we can take back some tips, strategies, and inspiration to take our game to the next level. Also, if you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing to it. If you like this video, hit like and leave your thoughts. Let us know if you took something away from this conversation. My guest today has crossed many oceans to get where he is today as one of the pioneers of podiatry. From studying Ayurvedic medicine to administering at troubled college to pioneering telemedicine at a time when it was early days in internet, and more recently his foray into podiatry. His story is fascinating, full of adventure. Let's find out what got him started in Ayurveda in the first place. What's behind his choices of moving adjacently into business and then finally circling back to practicing medicine. Please welcome Dr. Sanjay Sharma. Hi Sanjay, welcome to WorkYogi Diaries.
Hey, hi Santosh. How
So
are you?
nice to. I'm doing great. It's so nice to have you on my show. We've known each other for many years, and we have seen each other at a time in our lives when we were rediscovering and recreating ourselves. So it's so
Yes,
nice to have you in this conversation and kind of have the opportunity to talk about your journey, and hopefully the viewers will take something away from your journey and your learnings.
absolutely. Thanks for calling me in and kind of reconnecting. It's been ages that we haven't been reconnected. We have been seeing each other's posts on Facebook and other social media, but we haven't spoken or reconnected. And it's a pretty good way to kind of reconnect and see what each others have been up to.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we kind of jump into the weeds, I'll let you do a personal introduction, and then we'll kind of jump in.
Sure, awesome. So I'm Sanjay. A full name we can be called as Sanjay Sharma, and a podiatric surgeon by profession, practicing in Bangalore, living in Bangalore all throughout. Even though I worked across India for a couple of years and studied in US and worked in US for some time, but right now settled in India. So my partner is an UX UI researcher. She's a medical anthropologist, and
Mm.
that's what we both do. Have dad with me, uh, and he used to be a scientist at ISC, but right now leading an agriculturist life.
Nice, nice. And you're a medical anthropologist. Wow, that's fascinating. Looks like the couple is doing some cool stuff. Both of you. All right. So
Yeah.
yeah, Sanjay, thanks for that. We will get into podiatry and what you're doing, what you're pioneering in India from that perspective. But before that, I think we will go to a little bit of a flashback. In terms of where it all started. And so let's get there. I know you started. You started in medicine, but in the alternatives, side of medicine. So let's kind of maybe start with what got you into medicine in the first place.
No, it was a fluke. So at that times, I think probably you can also remember there was only two things that we had a choice to do. Either it was engineering or medicine, and when we don't get into the mainstream medicine, we said, okay, what else is there? And if we want to do medicine, then get into the alternative system. So Ayurveda. So, but that was one of the reason. But majorly, my family was full of engineers. My
Mm.
dad, my mother, my all my cousins. If you count them, dad had about six siblings.
Mm.
So all their kids were engineers. So there was everyone at home is just like one person has to be a doctor. At least one of you should be a doctor, kind of a thing. And mom had a huge influence on that. She had got into, in the sense, she had got in her younger age, she had got into Mysore Medical College, but she being a woman, and she had to travel
Mm.
from our native Shumaga to Mysore, and so the family didn't allow her to go out of her space and live in a hostel and other things. But I think that also had an influence on me, because she was constantly telling from the childhood that, okay, one of you should be a doctor, you should be a doctor, kind of a thing. So that's also one of the influences. And other one was, there was the only two choices that we came out of plus two, that was there. And so that's the reason I went into it. But there was no regrets at all. We
Yeah.
Initially, it was like, all that of Sanskrit, and a lot of age old books that we used to read, and some confusing theories that used to come up. What we had not learned in our 10th and plus 2 biology was being taught, and that was a bit confusing in the beginning. But somehow, uh, from the second year onwards, we started liking it. And
Mm.
went through the whole journey of 5.5 years, and it was fun. The college was really fun.
Wow. So 5.5 years, and this was where? Where did you do your Ayurvedic medicine?
This was in Bangalore itself,
Okay.
in the government college here in Bangalore.
Okay.
So it was fun. We did a lot of things that was never heard of, or we never thought of that we would do. We let us go through the your questions. If a time arises, I'll share.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I mean, one question that pops up for me, and I think people who are probably listening to this is, uh, what's the difference between a 5 year Ayurvedic medicine versus a traditional medicine? I know, I guess we all know the system of medicine is different, but do you study the same thing in terms of physiology and things like that the other doctors do?
Yeah, so typically the first year goes on with the anatomy and physiology, and biochemistry and microbiology. And also added to it would be an Ayurvedic perspective of, we learn the concepts of physiology in according to Ayurveda. And
Mm.
also the concepts of anatomy. Anatomy is not much of a difference, it is facts. Whatever was there, what Sushruta had told ages back, is something, same thing is there today also in the human body, just the names are
Yeah.
different. We have the Sanskrit names for the bones and the muscles and everything, and but the English names or the Latin names that we learn in the
Mm.
modern medicine. But the physiology is what it makes the huge difference. So we learn both the physiologies, and the biochemistry and microbiology per se. Into the second year, that is when the pharmacology comes into play. There is no subject of a modern pharmacology in the 5.5 years BAMS course. We learn the Ayurvedic pharmacology. We learn a lot about plants and its properties, and what it what diseases it can cure, how it cures, and all those things is something that is learned. And so the second year part of it is a bit of, or hugely different from what, even in terms of the pathology, uh, the how the disease occurs and other things, is more in the perspective of the traditional medicine or the Ayurvedic medicine, in terms of what dearranges the body, what is an equilibrium of the three
Mhm.
doshas, and so those are the things. And the final year, again, it comes back to surgery and gynecology and other things. we study the same books as the students of modern medicine study, and in addition to some concepts of surgical practice or medical practice there. So from the only from the pharmacology perspective and from the medicine, internal medicine perspective, the textbooks and what we study is different. But from a surgery or from anatomy or from physiology, it's most of it is the same.
Right, right. Okay, that makes sense. And so moving forward, you kind of pivoted out of Ayurveda. So you did spend some time practicing Ayurveda and then pivoted out. Or so what happened?
Yeah,
Give
so
us a sense.
I'll take a step back in terms of the college
Hmm.
also, why it was never thought that those things would happen, and it really makes sense. So, first year when we joined in, I was pushed into. So that's a story. So I, from a government, they used to have something called as a CET at that point of time, the entrance test
Hmm.
to get into all the professional medical or the engineering or medical colleges. And then when we wrote that, and then got into one of the colleges in a place near Chikmagalur, and went there, and within about a month or so, went there, and then there was this two people running the institute there, and that happened to be after about 6 months they both of them fought, and one said the college is mine, the other said the hospital is mine.
Okay.
And didn't because any medical college should have a college and a hospital space. Uh, the government came back and said that you cannot run a college without the hospital. You cannot run
Hmm.
a medical college without the hospital. And we, who had come from the government, started agitating and saying that you need to put us in a different other colleges rather than forcing us to continue here. It was who allotted the seats to this private college here. So that agitation went on. We had some fun times in the beginning itself of the first year when I went to the college, of going to the government offices, secretariats, and then speaking to the secretaries, sitting on a hunger strike in front of Vidhan Sauda, and the minister coming in and giving some juice and everything, saying that okay, we will accommodate you in the government colleges. So that is how it started off. So
Okay. So from
came into the government college in Bangalore. So they allotted. There were three government colleges: Ballari, Mysore, and Bangalore. So whoever was there from the government seats, we were allotted in these three colleges. So with that kind of a background, came in, and was a bit of a known personality already when I joined in. I was a latecomer into that batch, and was a bit of a known personality already there, because having all this strike and
strike and all.
agitation and all that background.
So you were already a budding leader even before you started your medical
Yeah, it
journey.
was accidental. It was seriously accidental, because when I was in Chikmagalur, I took that opportunity to meet these, the secretary, and go to Bangalore, because my hometown was Bangalore. So any work in Bangalore, I used to volunteer. No, I will go and get it done, kind of a thing. So that was more of a hidden agenda for me to travel to Bangalore, rather than actually the instinct of being a leader or something like that. So that's how it started off. And the journey in the college was also fun. We had as usual our tiffs with our seniors. We did a couple of agitations, at least in the final year that I remember of. We got a new principal. I don't want to name the person. We got a new principal, and he came up and said that there is the new concept that is bringing in, where there will be no student union elections, but he is going to nominate the president, secretary, and all those things from different batches. So the seniors would get the president, and then one batch below would get the secretary, and similarly. So that happened, and the government usually sponsored us a tour, an educational tour for the students from the government college. We were supposed to go on a tour for about 30 days for all the institutes in northern India, and there was a tour secretary for that. So that was also kind of nominated by the principal, and the nominated students association and the principal nominated the tour secretary, and he started charging a certain amount for the tour.
Hmm.
At that time it was like hardly about some 1,000 rupees, 1,500 rupees, in additional to what the government was giving the grant, and we were not happy with that, the other students, some of our students. So we went to the principal and started asking him to change the tour secretary, and he disagreed. And then he said, no, this has been nominated by the students association. We said, you change the student association, because that was also nominated. And he said, no, I cannot change it, this is my policy and all that, but then you only resign and go. So we forced him, we agitated, picketed him, met the director and everyone, and forced him to resign within about a week's time. Got a new principal instilled there, and
Wow.
then
You guys are
got a
dangerous
new
guys.
got the new election done in the college, stood for the president's post, and then got elected as a president, and then nominated a new tour secretary, and then went for the North India tour and came back. So that was something that I still remember absolutely vividly.
Wow. We all have this, you know, perception about doctors being very peaceful, hardworking. They have no time to do anything. But that's not true. You have leaders,
That's
and,
college.
that's not true.
That's college. That to a government college where the students union and other things mattered a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. Yeah, so that explains where you got your training to be. I had a question, how did you become an entrepreneur? So that kind of answers the question where you got this training to be a leader and organize and take up causes, and so education is just not about going out learning
Yeah,
about the subject, but it's a holistic education. So it looks like that's what you got your education leadership in.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So great. So, so that gives us a sense of what you did in college, and that gives also a sense of the differences between traditional medicine and Ayurvedic medicine education. Uh, and then what happened? So you completed this course, and uh, how did life proceed? You seem did you practice Ayurveda at all after that, or did you pivot out?
Yeah. So it was. I think I pivoted in a very early stages itself. So there was always a dream, even in the college. So as we grew on, we were a close knit of about five friends.
Hmm.
uh, as you know, 5.5 years we spent together, and it will be, we were very close, and we had dreams to do something together. So just
Hmm.
after college, we said, at that point of time, even though today Ayurveda is well accepted and everything, we had a dream that we need to have something holistic,
Hmm.
where the patient's uh, condition, or the patient is treated as a whole and not by systems. So uh, a, if a patient with some arthritis or something comes in, he needs to be given a choice of what treatments are available. It could be Ayurveda, it could be Unani, it could be allopathic system, or various Reiki, pranic healing, whatever you name it. It should He should know about all these options that are there, and then he should be able to choose, or even tell him that, okay, at this stage of the disease, this system of medicine is more useful. That's what
Hmm.
we interpreted as integrative practice. um,
Okay.
so we wanted to kind of come together and start off something, an integrated health center, where every system of medicine is being practiced in one location. But
So this was like mid
and
90s, right? 95 time frame.
yeah, late 90s, I would say 96,
Yeah.
97, 98,
Hmm.
98 kind of a
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
So we started, four of us started two clinics somewhere in and around Banshankari in Bangalore, which I kind of hated it completely.
Hmm. Why? What
I
happened?
don't think so. I was meant to be, sitting in the four walls waiting for a patient to walk in and
Hmm.
then treat him, kind of a thing. That was not happening at all. So and in the meantime, I was also assisting, volunteering at
Hmm.
the landmark forum. That was the days when it was in Guthali. The
Hmm.
the center was in Guthali. Chandrika was the center manager, and
Yeah.
I think an opportunity to become a production manager came in. Was there, and at the same time, I think both mom and dad was visiting US
Hmm.
for about 3 4 months. So there was not too much pressure back on not to quit the clinic at that time. I was living alone in Bangalore, so I just jumped into being a production manager at Landmark, and then things went the way it went. So that was my
So
initial, just after the college. That's what happened.
so what happened to this two clinics with your friends? Did that evolve, or
No,
you kind of just moved out?
no. So I moved out, and then one of my other friend ran it for another 2 years or something like that, and then we shut it down. The other two of my friends also, they had some issues in the clinic in terms of the patient footfall or something like that. So that was
Hmm.
also moved out, kind of a thing. So
So
that's
that's
what
kind of
happened.
history.
That's kind of
That's history.
history. Yeah, it was a part and parcel of the journey, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it
No.
was,
No.
it was hardly about I stayed in the clinic for about 4 5 months, not or kind of even lesser, uh, and then came into came into Landmark and started working there, not just assisting.
Well, actually,
uh,
I didn't know that. I didn't know you were staff in Landmark.
Staff for about 3 months.
Okay.
Michael was there, uh, so that's what is 3 months of being staff, and that made me think through, beyond. That was the time when I was like, okay, management, how to organize events,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
get a hang on the event management perspective, or the leadership, and so all those things was there. And I also completed my the whole program in terms of the SELP, and
Yeah. Yeah.
joined the ILP, and other things happened
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the similar, around the same time.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
All right. And then, yeah, go ahead.
after completing the being a production manager, that's when I met Rajat Gupta, who was the course supervisor at Landmark, and one of my uncle actually introduced me to the Landmark Forum. So it's and my friend Prashant, whom we were all together, wanted to start something that was there. So somehow got into each of their heads, started enrolling them into starting this dream again of having an holistic center, and that came into it came live, and it became a reality sometime in 99 2000, where me, Rajat, Venu, my uncle, and Prashant started this center called Arth, ARTH,
Hmm.
which provided an holistic uh, healing, which had all the systems of medicine at one place, and the patients had a choice, get to know what are the pros and cons of each of the system, and had a choice of choosing their own system of medicine to get
Yeah.
treated from.
And I think back then it was one of the earlier, I would say, even a facility in Bangalore, to my knowledge, which organized in such a fashion. There was a name,
Yeah.
there was a system. People could go, and I think it became pretty
Yeah,
popular too, right?
it was
And
it did get popular, but I think that as um, uh, uh, in the landmark forum there's a quote then, an idea whose time has come,
uh-huh.
or so, but this was an idea whose time had not come at that point of time. Probably it did get popular in terms of people knew about it and the things, but the concept of an integrative system, which wasn't really accepted amongst the medical fraternity nor amongst the patients per se.
Okay.
They were looking at some focused treatments that was possible and other things. So we did kind of fight it out, try
Hmm.
to you know run that in a way that we had dreamt of. But again, there were learnings from there also when I moved on to the next part of my journey.
And I think there seems to be like a common theme so far, Sanjay, in your journey so far, is that you want to take on pioneering, ideas, unprecedented ideas, even if it is uncharted. It seems like so far what you've shared with us, that seems to be a common theme, recurring theme.
Yeah, I think even going further, if I look forward also, that looks like a common theme in terms of building something up and then
Yeah,
going on to the next
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So at least if I look back today, for me it is like this is I do not know whether I'm going to have a next life and I'm going to remember all this or not, but in this life,
Yeah,
whatever is something that is there in my head, I should do it now
that's a great
itself
mindset.
is something.
Yeah, that's gold. I think that's gold in what you're sharing. Just there is no someday out
Yeah.
there. If your heart's yearning to do something, I think what you're really saying is go out and do it. And you may fail, and
Yeah,
like
I
you said,
failed. It's like
and it
there
doesn't
are
deter you.
multiple instances that I've
Yeah,
failed. Yeah,
yeah, and it
but
doesn't
I
deter you even.
enjoyed the journey. It's not about
Yeah,
the outcome. Looking back, it is not about the outcome, but I kind of enjoyed the
yeah,
journey, and that's what I relish.
yeah. And I think, just there's so much gold in what you're saying, because it also is making you a different version, or a better version, or an upgraded version of yourself every time. Now the outcome may be not what you wanted, but you left out as a better version of yourself, right?
Absolutely, absolutely,
So
absolutely.
and so what happened to her Earth? Did that continue, or did it kind of
So it
close down?
continues till now, but I had an exit.
Hmm.
We had certain difference of opinion in how to run the center and other things, and also at that point of time, I got into my post graduation in surgery.
Okay.
So I said, I think in 2003. I moved out of Earth. Me and my uncle moved out of Earth. Rajat and Prashant continues to run the center as a complete Ayurveda center,
Okay.
not as an integrated
Hmm.
space anymore. And I moved out, and that was when I was kind of searching out on what else can I do. I was also at that time I was leading SELPs
Hmm.
in Landmark by that time, and that is when this opportunity came in. Me and one of my friend, or three of us, were having some beer at Purple Haze in Bangalore, and
Hmm.
those nostalgia of different places in Bangalore is always brings a smile. Purple Haze, and this guy was my friend's classmate in the US, and both had come down to Bangalore and discussing. And the this his name is Arjun Jindal. He was from the Jindal group in West Bengal and Haryana, that they are
Hmm.
there. So he offered me something like, okay, we have a college, a medical college in near Ludhiana, in a place called Moga, and so we are looking for someone to manage it. Why don't you come over?
Uh-huh.
That looked like an opportunity that was never possible, because just after completing my post graduation, where I was still looking at small opportunities of being a faculty in some college, or
Mm.
either starting something on my own. There was like a lot of questions that was there, and then he said, why don't you take it?" So I just completely blindly kind of took it up.
Yeah, and you're probably
Did
in the middle of self-expression,
Yeah,
and anyway you're so tuned to, hey, I want to try something new. It's
try something
uncharted.
new. Yeah. So I just didn't say no. Yeah, I know people would check out today. They would research on the, what kind of an institute, what it is, and all those things. So for me, it was like, and that too after all this uh, quitting from Earth and all those things happened. I wanted to change. I wanted to move out of Bangalore, see what's happening around, or all that
Yeah,
mindset. So I
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
simply jumped over it, and then took a flight to Delhi, and then from a train to Punjab, and landed up in a place called Moga. Unheard of place for me.
Where is it? I don't know. I've not heard of
Yeah,
it. Where is
it's about
Moga?
an hour and a half drive from Ludhiana
Okay.
towards the Pakistan border.
So South Indian boy from Bangalore
Yeah,
suddenly is landing up somewhere in the middle of Punjab. Wow.
somewhere in the middle of Punjab is that was like a pretty interesting and a bold move that happened. So I spoke to my professor, like I did in the sense, I didn't really do the research. I spoke to my professor who guided me in the in my post graduation and the thing. So I still remember his advice. So he asked me, like I was like, uh, mom and dad for sure wasn't pro for it, and at that time I really didn't care about their opinion. Sorry to say that, but I didn't it didn't make any sense to me. So professionally, I spoke to my professor, and he asked one thing, and he said, where is your dad from? He said, I said it from a place called Shivamogga. So, but how did he come to Bangalore? No, for work. He moved to Bangalore. Then why are you staying in Bangalore? You
I know
should,
where
if
this is going.
like, yeah, it's like if you have a better opportunity, then move out.
Go
And
away.
that made a real sense at that point of time. People have moved out. It's not just me. It
Yeah.
is my parents. Everyone have moved out for work, and why not? So
So
I
how
just
did it turn out? How did the
interesting
experience turn
journey,
out?
very interesting journey. What I think, whatever I am now, I would attribute it to my life in Punjab. So landed there and figured out in a couple of days that that college was a terrorist den in the 80s, 84, 85, when the whole Punjab terrorism was happening.
Wow.
The hospital was captured. The hospital and the college buildings were captured by the terrorists, and they had made it their den or adda, so as to say. There were bullet shot injuries all over the walls, where we could see they could see that the fighting had happened there and other things. After that, that's what the history that I heard, and after that, the magistrate, the local district magistrate, was administering the college. Like he was the principal of the college. Uh, and finally, a court settlement had happened, and the Jindals got back the college back to them. And then that the senior Jindal, we call him MD Jindal. So senior Jindal had given that responsibility of running the college to his grandson Arjun Jindal, and he picked me up and brought me there.
All happened in Purple Haze under the influence of
Yes,
beer.
yes, under the influence of beer. Decisions taken with with alcohol in your body.
All right. So you land. This is like a Hindi film. This is like a
Oh
Bollywood
no.
film. So you land in this place, and then what happens? What were you supposed to do?
So I'm supposed to take care of the college in terms of administer the college. That's also my first experience. I never did it as a vice principal or anything. I didn't know. So when I landed there, I figured out that I cannot be a principal because I don't have the experience. Uh, I was like, there is a certain rules that 10 years you need to be, to be a professor and all those things. So even though there was an inlinking for it, Arjun said that no, we will do something and all those things. He brought me, and then so I became as a administrator of the college because administrator didn't need any
Mm.
qualifications or experience per se. So became the administrator of the college as a designation, administrator of the
Mhm.
college. There, I was given a small house, like a quarter to live in the campus, and had a couple of people running around me.
So you're
Uh,
like the Sahib, like
yeah,
the Sahib of the
like
place.
Punjab, mein, Delhi, North India, mein, sahib. Thing. So that's what happened, and I was supposed to recruit new staff. There were only 9 people teaching, and the whole college was in shambles. The hospital was under lock and key. There was no patients at all. There were limited number of students who were there. Used to go to these clinics or hospitals that the this 9 staff people ran in their private practice. So because there was no patients that was there in the college itself, so the students used to come play some table tennis or volleyball and all those things, and then after that they used to go to the clinics or the nursing homes of these 9 doctors who used to practice in that city. So whoever liked whomever, they used to go to them and start learned tricks and bits of medicine. So that was how the college was, and wanted to revamp it, recruit more staff, get the hospital running, have the new buildings, and other things for the college to continue to get the permissions. So until now, it was a court order, from the court order, even though there was no infrastructure, it was running. But now it has come to the private hands. They had to build the infrastructure to get the required permissions to continue to run the college. So I was supposed to
Then
get
what happened?
all of things up and other things. So there was a huge support from the management from Delhi perspective, where Arjun and his grandfather and everyone lived, but there was a complete backlash from the locals, because
Mm.
those I was trying to put in some structure into the whole running of the college, from what I knew in my uh, studies, in the sense when I studied in government college, how it worked and all those things. So I was trying to put some structures there, and that was not taken
Mm.
mildly at all. And as you really said, some South Indian boy somewhere young, just finished graduation, and he coming and telling the professors what to do, what not to do in a North Indian college, was something
That work.
not accepted at all. So there was like constant fights. This has to be like this has to be like this. And I really learned what lobbying is all about,
Mm.
what politics is all about, how to manage people, how to
Mhm.
get things done, are some of the things that I really learned in Punjab.
Yep.
And there were a lot of complaints against me whenever the grandfather who recruited me, grandfather, and the grandson Arjun and MD Jindal used to come over. They used to come once in a month to kind of see where things are and try to get things done. Whenever they used to come over, there used to be like tons and tons of complaints against me, like the local professors or the local administrators, like the junior administrators who were there and all those things. They were like a list of complaints against me, and the MD Jindal was the I like I call him Dadaji itself. He used to like, why did you do like that? Why did you do like this? And I was like, how come he's telling it? I told him that I'm doing this, and then I was doing it, and why is he still kind of
Mhm.
scolding? So two insights that he gave me on that day, which I still
Mhm.
remember, is if you don't have complaints. If you're doing something, if you don't have complaints around you, like, then it means that you're not doing anything. If
Mm.
you're doing something actually, then people will complain
Yeah.
around you. So, because some people will not like what you're doing, obviously you cannot please everyone, and so don't worry about the complaints.
Yeah. Makes
If you're
sense. That's
complaining, it may, I know that you are working. If I don't
yeah.
I Like, if I don't hear a complaint, then I'm under questions that, are you working at all or not.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
and the
makes
and
that's not a lot. There's a lot of gold there because you're going there to fix a problem, and if there is nobody who is complaining, which means then you are not fixing the problem, right? You're winning the popularity contest,
Yeah.
and that's not
So,
what you were hired for. That's yeah, that's gold
yeah.
there. Yeah.
And that second insight was, he said, I might question you in that small group, in terms of why did you do this, why did you do that, and all those things, when they are complaining in front of them. But I, at the back end, know that you're doing the right thing, and I know that I have
Mhm.
given the permission. But if I don't question you at that point of time,
Mhm.
they might take this and make these issues much bigger.
Mhm.
So if I please their ego at that point of
Yeah.
time by telling you, or scolding you or questioning you on those things, that matter settles there. And even the next time also, it is just me whom I'm going to hear the complaints or issues, but it is not going to get escalated.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
So I said, an interesting way to handle
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
situation. This is something that I learned, and I think I still implement it in today also, in all my the way I work with the people and other things.
Yeah. No, that's a very I think a very important lesson because people think getting things done is a very linear activity. It's like you work hard, you do keep doing things, and things get done. And I think the reality of getting things done in a complex environment is like they would say, for a lack of better word, the politics of getting things done,
Yeah,
is a lot more. It's like it's a art. There isn't so much a science about it. You can read and write a lot about it, but ultimately some of these things it's an art form, right?
yeah.
And so how did this end? How What year? So we are in which year now? 2006, 2007, I guess.
2005, 6.
2005, 6. Okay, so I guess you've reached there. You fixed the problem. You got
Fix the
30%
Yeah, 2 years was
to
there.
some
Fix the
extent.
problem. Increase the, not like completely, but we could increase the number of seats, intake of the number of seats, showing the infrastructure from 30 to 50.
Yeah, yeah.
Hospitals was at 30% occupancy. The new building was in the midway of construction and the things, and that is when my mom was fell ill, and due to the logistical issues, like I had to take a train
Hmm.
from Moga, take a bus or a drive from Moga to Ludhiana, take a train from there to Delhi, and then fly from Delhi to Bangalore. Was quite a bit, and I couldn't be there at during the surgery of my mom
Okay.
here in Bangalore. So that kind of impacted me, and saying that, no, I should be somewhere closer.
Hmm.
So that's when I moved back to Bangalore. I quit the organization at Punjab, and moved back to Bangalore here.
Okay, so now we're getting into chapter 3. So you come back to Bangalore because you couldn't be with your mom during surgery. And yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So come back, and as I said, this was a random, again, like the Purple Haze jump to Punjab. This was also a random jump. I didn't have a job at hand that I when I returned. Just wanted to be with. I felt that I should have been with my parents at that time, and then
Mhm.
just jumped in back. And When I came back, I was kind of looking at what has to be done, the things, and I saw this. My dad's students were kind of working on a telemedicine company, or they wanted to
Hmm.
do something in the telemedicine perspective. They had started a company called Neurosynaptics, which wanted to the earlier vision was, how do we tend to give sight or to the blind, in terms of, is there any devices that can make them much more easier to wade through their own activities and other things. But somehow that kind of vision had deviated by the time I joined them, to providing access to healthcare in the rural India using technology.
Okay.
That is when I joined them as a co-founder, and working for them as a vice president and in that company and other things. That all. So that's how the journey into the technology in healthcare kind of started. Was there with them for about 3 years, with neurosynaptic communications, and there was again an interesting thought process and a viewpoint that came in. So we had developed a box. This was again pretty early, 2005, 2006, when the internet bandwidths, like today we are having a video
Yeah.
conferencing seamlessly, was not there. The bandwidths was a huge challenge,
Yeah.
even at that point of time. So we had developed a tech which can do a ECG, a stethoscope, and a pulse oximetry. Yeah, stethoscope, and the blood pressure. All these things can happen in one single box, and
Hmm.
there could have a video and an audio chat, and the data transfer could happen under 64 kilobits.
Wow. Okay.
So that was the patent, and that we had got. The box was one patent, and the video conferencing happening under 64 kilobits was another patent that we had got. And using that, we started implementing telemedicine clinics in the rural areas.
Okay.
Uh, learnings
Again, ahead of times. Again,
ahead of times at
something
that
very
time.
pioneering. Yeah.
Again, learnings. We thought technology will solve the problem, but we saw that there are a lot of social issues that
Mm.
we had to consider before saying technology would solve.
Yeah.
To give an example, we had put up a telemedicine. So the thought was, we'll put up a telemedicine center, and someone from the village, a 10th or a 12th pass girl, can manage the telemedicine. We would have given all the training, and the doctor at the other end would be able to prescribe
Yeah.
and talk to the patient and other things. The social issues was, the 10th pass girl never was accepted by the villagers there, because they were thinking that, how can this girl so young, just grew up before us, can treat us, or
Yeah.
can facilitate this treatment and all those things. So we gave up on that concept of having a 10th pass girl, and started recruiting nurses to man those telemedicine centers, because obviously the why telemedicine or this came in was, the doctors were not available in that area physically.
Right. Right.
So we started recruiting nurses, and there were social challenges. When I say, where the clinic was in one part of the village, and when a nurse of a different caste came into that part of the village, she was not allowed to come there, or the patients didn't come because she was of a different caste.
Mm.
So these were the which we never thought of in the business
These are
model,
real.
saying,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is like,
And these are
we
real
said,
issues.
yeah, we said, like, we're going to put up a telemedicine center, we're going to recruit a nurse, make it look like a clinic and all those things, and the patient would walk in. But
Mm.
these things were never thought of when we started our uh, like in the business model. And the other
Yeah.
issues was, there were local registered medical practitioners who were there, who started completely bad mouthing and discouraging this concept. They started
Mhm.
saying that what can this nurse do? I'm a doctor sitting here. What can a doctor do sitting remotely? So these were, these were the things which we hadn't thought through during that entrepreneurial journey of implementing telemedicine in the rural villages. And so finally we started learned all these issues in a place called Shivgangai in Tamil Nadu, and then refined the models, and started implementing telemedicine centers in again up north in UP. It was in Meerut and Bijnor and places in and around Meerut that we started implementing. And we took a different approach there, where we said we will empower the RMPs, or the local practitioners. I wouldn't call them
Mhm.
doctors per se, but empower the RMPs itself with this telemedicine equipment, and ask them to connect to a doctor sitting in Delhi, so that that clash between your nurse managed clinic in the village and all those things will be reduced, and also the RMP will be kind of benefited. So this worked pretty well.
Mhm.
It was kind of a win-win situation for the RMP also. So he took our training certificate, put it in his clinic, and started charging more from the patients. Like if he used to charge 25 rupees or 50 rupees for his consultation, he started charging 100 rupees, saying that I'm going to make you talk to a doctor in Delhi. uh, so we built the whole ecosystem there, where the medicines are dispensed based on the prescriptions to the patients. The lab investigations happen, collections happens. So we did about 100 centers till I was there in UP and Bihar, which is pretty successful. And even now it is running. So Neurosynaptic today runs about 2,000 centers across
Wow.
India, providing teleconsults. The technology has evolved and all those things, but that's where we started.
Fascinating. Fascinating, Sanjay. That is such a, again, coming back to what we were talking about earlier, the politics of thinking, getting things done, right? About understanding the cultural nuances, understanding stakeholder, what's at stake for certain key people, knowing who are key, and then kind of evolving a plan so that you can move forward is what I'm hearing in this story as well. Because uh, fascinating. That's leadership 101. Leadership 101 is not about all those principles and theories you read in books. It's about understanding people, understanding their motivations, right? It's a
Yeah, that's
key
the
key
people
lever
management
there.
is the key. And again, as I said, just remembering, once I came back from Punjab, until I found this job, or even beyond I found
Mhm.
this job, or started working with them, one of the other interests was theater. I used to be in theater in
Okay.
during my school, and then again in the college, used to be in theater. That was gone for the wind during my post graduation and during my stint in Punjab and other things. So came back, and that was we had a social media platform called Orkut at that time.
Yeah, yeah.
That's when I met a few like-minded people, and we started a theater group called
Okay.
Vimo, and we did a couple of multiple about two plays a year, and multiple performances of the same plays. So that went on for about 3-4 years, along with my journey with neurosynaptic and beyond. So that was something interesting that happened in my life. So,
It's all about
and
self-expression.
yeah, as I said, I had to do everything that I. That's again one of the things from the landmark forum, that do whatever you would want to do now. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's the next day. So that's how I used to lead the introductory sessions also. So one of the most hukum ka sikka was that story that came in, that during the childhood we think that life will happen one day. once we go to the college, and
Yeah.
once we go to the college, life will happen. Once I get married, once I get sons, and so life never happens. So that story is something that I used to tell everyone during my ILP introductions, forum introductions. So that's what I followed. Also, for me, it is like it has to be done now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cannot be postponed.
There's no someday out there. It's today.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
Awesome.
the journey at Neurosynaptic that happened. We did struggle even at that. That, as I said, even again, it was an idea whose time had
Mhm.
not come. Telemedicine today, after the new laws that has come in last year due to the pandemic and all those things, is now the dimensions the has completely changed. But
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
that time, it was pretty early, but we survived.
Yeah. 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 Pioneering again. Something. So when did podiatry enter your life?
So this was the time. Telemedicine happened, and then so I wasn't doing anything about my practice.
Hmm.
Again, since at that after I came back to Bangalore, my practice had gone for a toss,
Okay.
and I still had that inclination to treat people, but I didn't want to get into the old rung of again putting up a clinic and running it and things like that. So that was not my. I clearly knew that was not my cup of tea, and I was trying to explore what needs to be done again. While I was, contributing at Neurosynaptic, learning from my journeys at Neurosynaptic and other things, I was trying to explore what can I do with regarding to my practice. And in the meantime, also I did my executive MBA at IIM Bangalore, the entrepreneurship program at IIM Bangalore for
Mhm.
it was a year long program.
To
Uh,
teach them or learn from them?
Actually, to learn from them, I was seeing something was missing in terms of when I was doing all this. I was in typically I was in the management at the Neurosynaptic, and I was seeing there was a greater respect uh, given to someone who had a management degree, that too
Mhm.
from the IIMs and other things, and also the jargons. I had to go back and search when they said some various jargons that they used in the management. I had to go back and search what it
Yeah.
is, what do they mean. So I said, and there was an opportunity which was there, and so applied, went through the interviews and other things, and then got into it.
I was just joking about the teaching part. I know that you
I
had
know,
to
I understand.
study there, but I was like, you had a few things that you could teach in entrepreneurship too already so far.
So went there. We did. So this was a good thing to have, and so that's as I was saying, exploring that, and I attended a conference in Delhi. It was a diabetic foot conference, and that is where I met one of these legends in podiatry called David Armstrong, and
Mhm.
we started speaking to each other, and I started telling about my dilemmas, interests, um, there, and he offered to kind of offered a fellowship that I could do in US. And again, a little bit of thinking around, not like the first time from the Purple Haze to Punjab. A little bit of had got matured, so a little bit of thinking around, asking people of is it worthwhile to jump in and all those things. But jumped into that and moved to US, Arizona, Tucson, uh, uh,
Okay.
for for the fellowship there.
And
Uh,
you were in
and
Tucson for how many years?
About a
Okay.
year and 2 months, let's say. So jumped in there, finished my fellowship. It was much more of a learning of the clinical aspects. There was no experiments or large experience, huge experiences in US. It was more as a student learning the clinical aspects, which I had never learned in our medical schools, either in post graduation or undergraduation. Podiatry is never unheard of in India. There is no system of or a branch of medicine called podiatry in India.
Okay.
So, and after that, came back to India and uh, started my practice here. And that itself is a short journey of whatever I'm doing now is because of the challenges that I faced when I came back to India.
And that was what year was that?
This is 2012,
2012.
12, 13.
So you've been at this for the last 9 years,
Yeah.
podiatry, and is now is so you obviously that means that you're also pioneering another new thing, which is podiatry, and so what does that mean? Like, if you had to come back and start practicing podiatry, does it mean that you need permissions from authorities and boards in India to practice it, or it's more of a
We don't have a board. So with my masters in surgery, I should and they come and practice podiatry here. So we don't, as I said, it is not even a recognized branch of medicine in India. So today, if I'm calling myself a podiatric surgeon, it is just a self-given name. It is not
okay.
by any board or anything. As per the qualification, I am a general surgeon,
Okay, got
and
it.
what I am allowed to practice is general surgery, and this is a part and parcel of the general surgery.
Got it. So,
Uh,
so for the folks who are listening to this, tell us a little bit about what is podiatry. I mean, why is it important?
Podiatry is something to do with the foot and ankle. So, where we treat, manage foot and ankle conditions. It requires more than clinical skills to treat foot and ankle conditions. So, it's a mixture of a little bit of engineering, material science, and clinical skills. We need to look at the biomechanics of the foot,
Hmm.
of how we walk, how we stand, the postures, and materials in terms of what kind of footwear we need to use, what is the shore values, so all of things. So it's not just the clinical aspect that we learn in our medicine, but it's kind of a mixture of all these three, and that's why it's kind of different. In US, it is itself is a 4 year course, post clinical. It's a 4 year course. In even in UK and Australia, South Africa, they all have a undergrad and a postgrad course, and even within podiatry there are specializations. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay,
But in India, it is not there. So podiatry itself is a super specialty in India, rather than that being the at the graduation level and then branching out to different super specialties within that. And why it is important today in India, globally. So let me give a global scenario and then come back to India. Globally, every 30 seconds, there is one limb that gets amputated because of diabetes. So we have spoken about an hour now, and there have been about 120 amputations that would have
wow,
happened. And in India itself, registered major amputations are about 140,000. Like major, when I say it is a below knee amputation or an above knee amputation, a small toe amputations and all those things are not considered here. And
hmm
even if I pull all of them, there will be about 10x of them. It will be 14 lakh amputations that might be happening in India, only because of diabetes. And a podiatric intervention will be able to save these limbs 80% of the times.
so
An
this is
early
like
intervention.
a proactive. So this is like before something bad happens. It's like more of a you don't wait till something bad
Yeah, so
happens. You feel
yes, a podiatric intervention can prevent. So podiatry includes amputations also, in terms of
Mhm.
we take care of anything and everything to do with the foot and ankle. but an early intervention in for these diabetic patients could save their life. And these early interventions were not happening in India, or even though there were a few selected doctors who know about this, who are trained abroad, come back and were propagating this early interventions like offloading of the foot or early diagnosis. So that was not happening at all, and that is what made me to kind of venture into podiatry itself. In one of the conferences, as I told earlier, and when I came back also,
Mhm.
there was no comprehensive place where I could practice podiatry. Like even when I was setting up my own practice, if I want to advise a right footwear for them, it was not available in Bangalore. Even today, what people use is the MCR and the MCP footwears. That's the black color footwear that is available
Mhm.
as a diabetic footwear locally, which is not worth at all in comparison to the kind of advanced material science and technology that we have in the other Western countries. India didn't have them. Forget about affordability. Affordability comes the next question. Even for people who can afford, who can buy a Nike shoes, paying some 15,000 Indian rupees, they didn't have a right footwear to treat their diabetic foot condition.
Hmm.
Uh,
So, and I'm new to this conversation, and maybe some of people listening to this. So what happens to a feet when you have when you have diabetes?
so they lose the nerves in the foot starts degenerating,
Okay.
and then that leads to loss of sensation. So if the person is walking in a temple or a gurudwara, in a barefoot, he would not be able to sense the heat. If
Hmm.
something pricks
Okay.
them, if a thorn or a stone pricks them, they do not have any sensation. They keep bleeding and nothing, they can't sense it. So if there's a burn injury, if there's a prick injury, if there is any kind of pain, aches that we feel, so you are a runner, and if you run and then come back, and if you have a small blister or anything, you feel that there is a blister, and
Yeah.
you tend to avoid, walking on that area or touching that area. A diabetic patient wouldn't feel that at all, so he keeps running and walking in spite of the injury that happens. So the
Wow.
so that was the key point of why we started, and also the other things, like as your runner, you meet the podiatrist quite regularly. um, there were no interventions in terms of providing an right insole or a right orthotic
Yeah.
for the patients who have foot and ankle problems. Either it was an orthopedic surgeon who looked at the bones and the ligaments, and if nothing was wrong there, he said everything is fine, you got to live with your pain. Or it was a physiotherapist who used to kind of look at your stiffness in the muscles, or tell some exercises, stretching exercises and other things, but nobody looked at how you walked or how you stood, what was your posture, what was your gait. Other things was not even looked at when we are treating a foot and ankle ailments, and that is where we wanted to make a difference coming here.
Got it. Got it. No, that's very useful information. And so you also now you have you've kind of created this as an ecosystem, and you have a chain of clinics, correct, in
Yeah.
Bangalore.
Yes.
And I see the T-shirt you're wearing is probably the brand for that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's called the Foot Clinic.
Foot secure.
Foot Secure. Okay,
Yeah.
people,
It's,
Foot Secure.
yeah.
Take
Foot
that
secure.
down. Okay,
So we
and
run
so
a
now you
chain
have.
of a comprehensive clinics called Foot Secure. Again, which has a digital component to it also, having my background or work experience in telemedicine and other things. So today we have physical clinics in 5 locations in Bangalore. This is within hospitals. These are not independent clinics.
Okay,
This is like a shop in shop model. We run podiatry departments within hospitals.
got it.
Uh, and we give comprehensive care like diagnostics, therapeutics, surgeries, footwear, insoles, even things like pedicure, where the diabetic patients or even the geriatric patients would not able to cut their nails because there are some nail issues and other things. So, including all that, we provide comprehensive care in all these centers that we have. And from a digital perspective, we figured out that we will not be able to serve the 1.3 billion population with appropriate foot and ankle care by just setting up one clinic after the other. And that is
Mhm.
why we're developing an AI enabled clinical decision support system where this app, a mobile app, will be available with all the physicians who are treating diabetes or who are treating any of the foot and ankle problems and they should be able to fill in a certain questions and take some pictures of the feet or the wound that the patient has, and it automatically suggests what needs to be done. If there is an customized insole or an orthotic that needs to be given, or a customized sandals that needs to be given, it will automatically suggest what customizations are required, and we can customize them remotely without the patient having to come to Bangalore or any other major city and then ship it to the patient, and also treat a wound remotely, in terms of advise the physician who is not experienced to treat diabetic foot ulcers or foot and ankle ailments. So we advise on how to treat them and what kind of advanced dressing products that can be used there. So that's something that we are up to these days.
Amazing, amazing, Sanjay. And I think some of your telemedicine experience is probably playing a role here too.
That is
You're doing
the
probably,
yeah, that's the experience that is playing out on this. And
yeah,
I
yeah,
think with the digital, only with the digital interventions we are going to solve problems of this large population like this.
yeah.
Building physical infrastructure for every condition or every branch is quite impossible.
Wow, that's that's new information. I mean, that's really that's very insightful. I mean, you're right. You're right. I mean, that's a great problem you're trying to solve. And I mean, I'm in the tech industry, and I we keep thinking about what AI can do and who can benefit from it. And you seem to have articulated a very nice use case for AI, which has a huge impact to the society. So awesome. Terrific, Sanjay. You're a pioneer and you're continuing to pioneer. So please continue to do what you're doing. And I love this conversation. There's a lot of takeaways, a lot of golds and platinum and silver that was there, spluttered throughout the conversation. So we're kind of coming to the last part of our conversation, which is a fun Q&A round. We've spent some time talking about your journey. Now let's talk to you about a few of your likes and dislikes.
Awesome.
You ready for that?
Yeah,
Oh,
crossing my fingers.
I won't ask you controversial questions, but I know that it doesn't matter to you. You're a fearless leader. Okay. So first thing, you ready?
Yep.
So what's the worst thing of being a doctor?
Worst thing of being a doctor, uh, how do I put it? The the challenges of having to kind of follow what we say. There is subconsciously, okay, I've been telling this to patients, but I'm doing something like this wrong myself. And so, to be very frank, I would love the street side pani puri that we get in the streets in Bangalore, and going out and eating there in my own vicinity of where I practice is something that I would always fear.
I hear you. I hear you. Very nice. Very nice. That's so real and so authentic. Being practice what you preach is the probably
That's
the
not
most
possible.
difficult
That's not possible.
possible as a doctor. And we're all wondering as consumers of medicine is why isn't that doctor who's asking him to run not running?
Yeah.
Very nice. Love that answer. What's your favorite junk food?
I told you, Pani
Are you,
Puri. The
I
chat,
know.
the chat, the chat.
I thought you would say that, but I don't even know if chaat is a junk food. It's kind of not so junky, actually, right?
Not into bad deeds and all those things, but the Indian street food,
Yeah,
especially the chats, is something that I would relish anytime.
yeah. Got it. Okay, a place that you want to travel once the pandemic ends.
Europe,
Europe,
especially
where?
France, Strasbourg is something I loved. That I'd been there some long time back, and I loved that place just for the scenic beauty and the calmness that is there. And it's been long time I have trekked in the Himalayas, so that could be the other place that I would want to go to.
Nice. All right. Last one, which is my favorite one, is that if a movie were made of you, what genre would it be? And B, who would you like to play you?
I haven't never thought of this. I would want it to be some kind of a business drama, kind of a thing. Like you have this all those corporate things that is being shown in the movie,
Yeah,
kind of a thing. So if it's of me, it would be more like how the Punjab thing evolved, and
yeah.
how most of these entrepreneurial ventures evolved. So that could be thing. Who should play me? I really don't know. Probably, I don't know. Not like my favorite, but I used to like Amir Khan when I was a kid, and probably I would get Amir Khan to play me.
Nice. And I think he will do a good job. he he's one person we all know gets into the skin of a character and does a
Yes.
great job. So I'm sure he'll do a great job of replicating who you are. Awesome. So then Sanjay, thanks. That was good responses there. I enjoyed your responses, and you did you passed this in flying colors. Kind of wrapping up here. I want to give you the last word. Is there anything you want to convey? Any message? Um, Final comments.
Nothing. It's been really good speaking, getting into nostalgia, thinking about what happened. This is more of an impromptu speaking, so it's great. It's a day today is made. It's like we started at 6:45 a.m. and I think this made my day, and would relish this conversation in days and years to come. So it has been great. And also, as you said, remember Food Secure. So if anyone wants to look at Food Secure, or kind of contribute in expanding this venture, happy to speak to any one of them.
All right. All right. Thank you, Sanjay. I'll let you go. It's end of the day for me, and it's beginning of the day for you. And so, have a fantastic day, and we shall stay in touch.
Awesome. Sure.
All right. Bye.